What's up, people from the tube? Welcome back to another Pancho Things. So early morning, as I mentioned in the video where I got my first Mallard, Commodore is struggling a little bit with the weather. We're doing a little bit of a diet change, try to see if we can help content arrest that a little bit, to keep a little bit more of his energy levels to part of what we do it. So you guys know that I've been doing chicken jerky for him, so it's a nice caloric and protein intake. We're doing that through the hunt. I just give him little pieces just to keep him boost. I don't want him to collapse or get way too cold. So what I'm gonna do today is that I'm gonna show you how to make the chicken jerky that I make for him. Is fairly cheaper than actually buying the bags in a pet store or anything like that. So I'm gonna show you how I do it, and I'm probably gonna have to do a voiceover because the dishwasher is going and it's kind of loud. So I'm probably gonna go through the process and just do it as a voiceover, and in that way you guys can neatly and clearly hear what I'm talking about. So let's go. Let's get. I'm gonna sit you guys down in the counter so I can show you what I'm gonna need and what I'm gonna be using, and then we'll take it from there. All right. So we're gonna start with what we need. We need a baking rag. We need a cutting board. We need a knife. And we're gonna need some chicken. So the oven is, I set up my oven at 250 and it will take roughly about 2 hours or so for it to be completed. Remember, we're dehydrating, we're not cooking. So if you go above 250, 275, you're no longer dehydrating. At that point, you're cooking, and logically, you're not going to end up with jerky. You're going to end up with cooked chicken. So the reason why we want the jerky is because it's long-lasting. Commodore takes that in the field, and Marilyn also takes some of that jerky here at home as a treat. So I normally do this quite a bit. As I mentioned, the difference in price is quite substantial. So to know that, because you're paying quite a bit of money for a bag in a grocery store or in a pet store, when you can make your own at home, where you know where the chicken came from, you know everything. So is to me that's way better. So I like to freeze the chicken about hour, 2 hours prior I do this. That way it's easier for me to control the thickness of the chicken. So, and it's also easier for me to trim it out, take some of that fat out, and just make it as lean as possible. So as I mentioned, yeah, I want fat, but I want, as I mentioned, I put it on 30-20 diet. He's transitioning right now. I'm not gonna fully change him completely to only 30-20, and the reason being is Commodore is a little bit sensitive in the stomach, so I cannot hit him too hard too quickly because he will start having stomach issues. So all right, so let's go at it. The idea is getting, I don't like super crunchy jerky because it can be way too crunchy. And then we start having dental issues with it. They get stuck in their gums, and it's just, it's better to avoid it. So I like it a little bit more meaty. So what I do is that I cut roughly about 2 inches pieces. And that gives me a nice dehydrated jerky that is also a little bit meaty, which is what I'm looking for. Now, if you want it a little bit more crunchy, all you gotta do is just cut it a little thinner, and then you you will end up with a more crunchy jerky. As I mentioned, for me, it's better having it a little bit meaty and having the opportunity to chew. And because this is not only for Commodore, this is also for Merlin. Merlin is an elderly dog, so I want him to chew a little bit better and have a better digestion when it comes to that. So we're gonna go ahead and cut all of it because I'm gonna use it all. So first thing that I do, just take these pieces of fat, get them out. Good. So the rest of the pieces of fat, I can cut them once I got the smaller pieces. I can trim those pieces. So here we go. So I'm gonna cut the rest of the chicken and then we'll jump up to the next part of the process, okay? Alright, so all the chicken is already cut. So I'm gonna put this aside, bring my rack. I'm gonna grab a little bit of oil and I'm gonna grease a little bit the rack because I don't want the jerky to stick to it. So if you have Pam or something like that, you can also use that. But you want to lightly grease it. Lightly grease it up because once again you are removing all the water content from the chicken, so you don't want that to stick really heavily on the tray because then you're gonna lose product and it's gonna rip and all sorts of stuff. So with the tray, what I do, I leave enough room, so I start placing the chicken. Here's the time where I take the pieces of fat that I have missed. I take them out now. Because it's still somewhat frozen, you can just peel them off. They come right off. So, there we go. Now the reason why we remove the fat is because the fat is not going to dehydrate. You're getting only water content. And that fat is gonna, if you're gonna keep this for for a particular period of time, that fat will actually start decomposing. So it's gonna make the periods of time that you're gonna be able to hold your jerky is gonna be smaller. So for me, it wouldn't be that much of a problem because I'm gonna go through this fairly quickly. Because as I mentioned, is Commodore takes some and then Merlin takes some also during the day. So it's not like I'm gonna have it for too long. But I still like to remove the fat just to avoid any issues and lose the jerky while it's being held. So, right, so we already got our chicken all laid out. Our oven is at 250. So we're gonna grab the chicken and we're gonna put it right in the oven. Okay. Alright, so now with the chicken in the oven, we're gonna set up our timer. So our timer, we're gonna set it up at 60 minutes. And then what I'm gonna do after that 1 hour, I'm gonna turn around the tray just to make everything cook evenly, and then we're good to go. In the next hour, I'm gonna flip the tray around and give it another hour. So I'll give you guys a peek in the first hour so you can see how it's looking and how it's supposed to be looking, and then we'll flip it around and then give it another hour, and then we're good to go. Alright, so here's how we're looking after an hour. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna flip them around, and now in an hour we should be ready to go. Oh, do another 60 seconds. I mean, another 60 minutes. There we go. Alright. Alright. We are ready. There we go. So, what we gotta do now is cool him down, and then we can put them in a jar or the package that I'm gonna use, and then we're done. There you have it. That's how I make my dog's chicken jerky. 2 hours, all taken care of, and now we have delicious jerky for the pups, for Commodore and Marilyn. Super healthy treats, all made at home, way cheaper than what you're gonna pay in a store. So like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time that I upload a new video, and I will see you in the next one. Pancho out.